What's up, guys? We got winners and losers on this podcast this week. One side of the table, the other side. Please like and subscribe this video. It's awesome. College football, bam. I don't think we need any flowery intro tonight. We can just go into it. I mean, there's no real big deal. First of all, shout out to everybody out there who's listening and watching and checking us out on YouTube and looking at my beautiful state shirt. Hi, Case. How you doing? Case?
You can't hurt someone that's already broken.
You know, it is what it is. Are you? How you feeling? You good?
You can't hurt someone who is already broken.
And I thought that too, but I was already broken, and now I'm whole again. Now I live.
I don't know why. I don't know why you're so excited to beat A&M.
I'm a beautiful flower who's been replanted.
You got your holes filled?
I got my holes filled. I am.
Why are you so happy to beat A&M?
Because I am happy to beat anybody. I'm happy to win a football game.
Fair.
But Mississippi State's the best team in the country that's a bad team. We like dominated LSU on the yards, dominated Memphis on the yards, lost, and dominated A&M on the yards. Almost lost that one, but boy, it felt good. It felt good to see my team win.
That's fine. You're allowed to be happy. I do feel as though you're treating this as people thought A&M was good going into this game.
Well,
that died last week.
When Haynes King gets back, A&M can probably be good.
Well, Haynes King,
although your defense
did not
nearly as good as I thought they were.
Here's the thing. Is that after what happened last weekend against Arkansas, I did not think A&M was going to win this game. I said they were going to win because I can't bet against them.
Yeah.
But I said off air, you can't hurt who's already broken. Now, you have every right to be happy, but I knew they were going to lose this game. Calzada stinks. No offense.
Y'all ready to do a podcast?
No offense.
No offense. None taken. I'm not Zach Calzada.
No, I just want people.
Calzone.
I'm not the Cuban missile.
You can separate the person from the athlete.
It does stink that he's a waste of a good nickname.
The Cuban missile.
Yeah, well, an incredible nickname. You
He
can't
throws
have a
it
bad
way too
quarterback
hard
named the
sometimes.
Cuban missile.
Well, he's young. He shouldn't be playing. There's so many other things we should talk about.
Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
You ready to do it?
I guess.
All right, let's do it. Hi, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast, brought to you by the incredible folks at High Noon Hard Seltzer. It's got real juice, real vodka for real folks like me and you. They got the lime, the peach, the grapefruit, the black cherry. They got all of it.
Mango, passion fruit.
Thank you. Brandon loves the pineapple.
Isn't that
Is
so?
that commercial out yet?
I'm assuming, yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I had to do a commercial where I hit on a pineapple.
Like a human pineapple.
A human pineapple,
well,
yes.
A gigantic gay human dressed as a pineapple.
Dressed as a big fruit.
Yes.
Yes. So
Pat was the star of the show.
He was, and
yes.
I don't know if that's out yet.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I haven't seen it though.
Do you watch our videos often?
Yeah. I you know me. I watch my performances. I watch film.
You just watch yourself all day,
see where
every
I
day?
can get better. Read the comments. Cry myself to sleep at night. You know how I do.
Yeah, I don't know why you do that to yourself.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
No, it's weird.
It's masochistic. Did I say that right?
Just
Misogynist? No,
masochistic.
Masochistic.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're a
masochistic?
you're a
masochist.
masochist.
Yes.
Yeah, I love pain.
You like S&M.
That's a little far, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, you're a Mississippi State fan, so clearly.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys beat Duke, and all of a sudden you're just
listen,
walking in here like
no.
Shoulders out wide.
I have the same reaction that Casey did. I was like, you're happy to beat us. Like, yes, we won.
Sure am.
Yes, we won. We beat Duke. We did not do it pretty. I'm like, it's on to FSU. Like, we did our job, and okay.
Sorry.
Casey's watching.
I'm watching the
LSU.
I'm watching LSU Auburn right now.
So I do wish, and we all wish at this table, we had been in College Station, had been able to go. Ultimately, the decision was made above our heads. Maybe the cost of sending these three out here and a cameraman out there for a game that was kind of off the radar for a lot of people wasn't worth sending us, as opposed to the cost of having us here and being able to do sponsored content. So therefore, we stayed. But the people that got together, I hope you guys had an incredible time. I've got something cooking in my mind for perhaps what we can do for especially the three people that flew out there. And then we'll be
we're going to make it up to you guys somehow.
Oh, we got it.
Also, Michael Salter, our friend that flew down there, he did DM me and say that he's happy that he went to Michigan, but that he wishes he would have gone to a Southern school after seeing the tailgate in College Station.
It's just
although I guess I say the same thing sometimes with Big Ten tailgates. But we are very sorry. I will reiterate over and over and over. And if you watched the stream at all today, if you didn't show up to the stream, you had shirts made about you not being on the stream. No,
correct. Yes.
No offense, Rico Bosco. Dave was literally taking attendance.
He was on one.
On who was here and who was not.
All right. So that's enough about that
Yeah.
because this was the best college football weekend of the year, the best college football Saturday of the year. And usually I have about 9 or 10 takes that can get us through a show. I got 18.
I mean, there's so much to talk about.
I got 18, and then I got looking forward to next week's schedule a little bit, and then we got everything that's going on in the world. But I will say this, watching this day to day, usually over the last month, when we've been in this house and we've watched 12 hours of football, by the 9th, 10th, 12th hour, I'm tired, I'm dragging, my eyes aren't doing good, I'm kind of ready for the day to end. I was as happy watching football at 11:30 or 11 o'clock whenever we watched Clemson, Boston College in, whenever we watched, unfortunately, UConn, Vandy in. I was as happy watching them as I was 12 hours ago. Like, this day never got old.
I actually, when we were cleaning up after the Clemson BC game and we were kind of making the transition into the podcast room, I noticed that I still had half of my iced coffee left.
Yeah.
Normally, I am on my fourth one by now because I'm just trying to stay awake. I only had 1.5 today, Brandon.
I thought, Jack and Katie, you haven't said anything.
I did. I talked about UNC a little bit.
No, this setup's a little bit different. It's more for like you two to go
we
back
are
and
looking
forth.
at each other.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at him.
I mean, today was great.
I changed, so
It
I
was
changed.
almost an awesome day, but the ending.
Yeah,
UConn almost won, but they're showing heart, so they'll be the rest
the
of.
podcast almost went 3-1.
Yep, and that would have been really something.
Now, real talk. You guys are better than the worst team
I
in the
know.
country. Like
we're not the worst team in FBS history, which we look like.
You're right there as winning a game, which is a lot better than you thought a month ago.
Next week is the
UConn
come
UMass.
game.
Mm-hmm.
The come game.
Come game.
And we're all going to that one.
Yep.
It's going to be just a huge. Okay, no.
Come
don't
fast.
get-
No,
don't
no,
get that
no,
out.
Don't go to
no, no.
Amherst, Massachusetts.
No, but we are going to be in Blacksburg.
Yeah, we are going to Blacksburg. I am so excited about going to Blacksburg.
Notre Dame, Virginia
I've never
Tech.
been there for a game. I've been there, but I've never been there for a game. I actually
haven't
lived
either.
in the area once for a few months, but I can't wait, and I hope we get to go to the entrance and see Enter Sandman just live.
Beautiful.
Before we go home.
That game's not as exciting as we thought it would be after today, though.
No. Notre Dame kind of wore one, and there's a team that we're going to talk about, the team that went in there and just destroyed them.
Oh! Sorry. I can't do this. I probably shouldn't watch this game while we're doing this.
You shouldn't.
I can give you updates.
What happened?
So LSU's third and 8 or 9 fumble. They recovered it, so now it's 4th down. Okay, I'll stop.
So that actually didn't sound like it warranted.
Well, it was ball. I wanted to scream ball, but
Ball,
okay,
yeah.
I won't watch it. Well, I won't react to it anymore.
Okay, so this is
Sorry.
a day that we came in this day. There were a lot of ranked games, but to me, and this is I'll go through all my takes whenever you want to drop something in. We'll use these as discussion points. To me, this day is a lot like the rest of the season so far, in that so far this season we've had the door open for chaos. We've had a lot of chaos. Now, at the very tippity top that we'll talk about in a minute, not a whole lot of chaos. Those two teams stood up and said, boy, y'all are still going to have to catch us. But number 3 lost. I believe number 6, 7 lost. 4 top 10 teams lost today. 7 top 25 teams lost today. We're still on pace for the most top 25 losses ever in the history of the sport through 5 weeks now. So we're getting a lot of upheaval. Where were the 4 top 10 teams lost? Number 3, Oregon lost to Stanford.
And the Pac-12 just does it again to themselves.
Yeah, they just immediately that probably does it.
They eat their own.
It might not fully do it, but it certainly goes a long way.
I know I said last year and people made fun of me for saying cannibalism all the time, but they cannibalize themselves every single year.
But here's my issue with that this year. Outside of Alabama and Georgia, I think everybody's going to be a cannibal this year. Like, it's only a matter of time before somebody beats Oklahoma. It is, and they got Texas next week.
That's next week?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It always sneaks up on you.
Ohio
does.
State is vulnerable, although I think I got to take about them later. Penn State's really good. Like
Michigan?
You're going to start. Like Penn State and Iowa are going to be 3 and 4 this week. One of them's going to beat the other one this week.
I feel like, and maybe it's just because we have a little bit of bias towards the Pac-12, just kind of laying an egg on themselves.
Right.
But if for some reason, we talk about the Big Ten, and there's one team that beats each other. There's still a lot of undefeated teams in the Big Ten at the top. I mean, you've got Michigan, Penn State, Iowa. So you've got 3 at least. Like in the Pac-12, they're all done now.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. To me, this is less about the Pac-12 and more about Oregon. It has to be super frustrating to be an Oregon fan because you've got everything but, right? Oregon is always close. Oregon is always seem like the last Pac-12 team standing, and it seems like they always get to the point where they start looking at the schedule. Where are they going to get beat? Where are they going to beat? 2 years ago, it was at Arizona State with a freshman quarterback, and now this year they go to Stanford. Stanford, credit to David Shaw and that team, because they look like refried ass in week 1 against Kansas State, but they have beaten USC, and now they have beaten Oregon, and they did it in such college football fashion. This is a sport that has the best endings in the world. Mm-hmm. And when Stanford gets down there and they got one play, 4th and goal from the 5-yard line, and they make a great pass, and just everything, the excitement there. The one thing, I took a picture of the crowd. Stanford has to have more people there for number 3.
What's going on?
Anyway, but Stanford with a huge win, Oregon with a loss, and now you look around if you're Oregon, like every year, it feels like you put yourself in position to be top for the playoff, and you blow it.
You blow it. I know we've talked a lot about David Shaw and like how he's just kind of been hanging on by a thread. I mean,
right.
His job was saved today. Not that it was necessarily on the hot seat.
I think he had probably already saved it, but
well, yes, but I mean, this was like solidified. Like, okay, you beat the number 3 team in the country. Okay,
they've got a great young quarterback in Tanner McKee. Like they've now pulled the iron out of the fire where you look towards the future and they look really good. I will say this though.
Oh,
Pac-12's not buried, and Oregon's not buried either. Or you can't bury Oregon. I know they just lost one game. They still have the road win over Ohio State. And when it gets down to it, it's going to be tough to get to this playoff this year because outside of Alabama and Georgia, Clemson, Oklahoma, nobody looks all that strong.
And Clemson should have lost tonight.
If Oregon is sitting there with one loss in November, they're going to be in the mix for this spot. Now, can they get there? That's the question, because they still got tough road.
They have a tough road ahead, but here, and Ev was obviously watching with us on the stream, and when it was going down, he was like, I don't know what I want to happen with Oregon. I was like, you want Oregon to lose, even though, yes, Ohio State lost to Oregon. That's in week 2.
Right.
That's a long time ago. Now, Oregon has a loss to Stanford, whereas if Ohio State's only loss is to Oregon, I feel like Ohio State will finish out better than Oregon. They'll get in over Oregon now.
Oh, yeah, easy.
No it's
problem.
even though there's the head-to-head.
Ohio, and I'll talk about it later. Ohio State's the team we buried the quickest, and it was really stupid. I think they're about to blitz the Big Ten.
When you say buried, you mean out of the playoff?
Yeah, I think we all said, this defense is too bad. They're not going to do anything. They're not as good as they normally are. I think once they get into the Big Ten play fully, they're just about to ragdoll.
Who do they have
Ten.
next week?
They have a bad team, Maryland, I think. They have Maryland.
Oh, God, Maryland looks so fucking bad.
So Oregon lost, and then other top 10 teams, Arkansas, Notre Dame, and Florida. Now, Arkansas was a phony, sham top 10 team, period. They just were.
Can we please, before we get into this take, because we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, can we speak about how the fact that the Arkansas athletic program used you as motivation for their players?
I have never seen a fan base or a school, an administration, get so intoxicated with the smell of their own farts the way Arkansas did over the last week. Listen, I know they beat Texas A&M.
Barf.
That's not going to age all that well. Sorry,
it's already. This is what is so like. I tweeted today about how bad Arkansas looked because they just couldn't move the ball, and I was like, and yes, I get it. You beat A&M, and they're like, oh well, yeah, they beat A&M. I'm like, yeah, Arkansas again. Show that you're dumber than you are. Like, I'm saying that A&M is bad. So congratulations.
This week somebody in the Arkansas administration pulled a couple of players, maybe more than 2, into a room and showed them a video. You've seen videos like this where they'll sit them down and they'll put them in the spotlight and they'll watch the video and they'll laugh and get their reaction. And it was watching the reaction of me saying I was wrong about Sam Pittman and I was wrong about Arkansas.
And you were wearing the hat.
In the long term, I was wrong about Sam Pittman because I thought he was going to be a complete abject failure. In the short term, Arkansas is still not good. Arkansas is fine. They're going to be a 7-5 team. They're going to be, maybe 8-4, but they're not good. We kind of crowned them because they beat A&M, they beat Texas, and it was 37-0. It could have been 73-0 without a sweat to Georgia's backup quarterback.
And I said this on the college football show. I also took Arkansas in our little unnecessary roughness against the spread because I was like, okay, I didn't give Arkansas any credit whatsoever.
Yeah.
They beat A&M. I did say A&M looked like shit and that Arkansas didn't do a whole lot to win the game in the second half. And then it was proven right that, Arkansas is better than Texas A&M. Arkansas may be better.
I'm not sure if that's correct,
but on paper, yes. They beat A&M. They beat Texas. Fine. That team that played today is not a top SEC team. And I think Arkansas fans, after last week, thought that they were a top SEC team.
And I got one little piece of advice for Arkansas coach Sam Pittman, which I was wrong about you when you got hired. Yay. A pin of rose on your nose. If you're going to be, really big and disgusting, you don't need to wear just a white polo with nothing underneath on the sideline. That was gross.
You know who was the most offended by that all day?
Jeff D. Lowe.
Jeff D. Lowe could not
This
stop
guy
talking
was
about it.
sweating. The tits were out for the boys. If you're going to be 320 pounds and be a 59-year-old coach, you need to embrace the hoodie, or the pullover, the sweater vest. You can't just let the tits out on CBS or whatever channel they were on today. That was disgusting.
Let the man let the tits fly if he wants.
He looked like Roseanne Barr after a swimming pool party. That's
Yeah,
what he looked like.
You're definitely not getting unblocked.
I'm sorry. Listen, if the man's gonna be on
Why
TV,
did Roseanne have to take a ricochet shot?
if the man's gonna be on TV, if the man's gonna be a big time coach, somebody's got to dress the man. Somebody's got to tell you can't be looking like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on the sidelines. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Did you see him?
Listen.
Y'all know it's true.
No, okay, here's the thing. And Katie, as a female, like you can't wear tight white if you're not in your best shape.
Correct.
The man was wearing tight white. I mean, I know that. I will not be wearing
on a hot day in Georgia.
You can't be doing that.
Did you have
First of
underboob
all-
sweat?
Huh?
Underboob sweat?
Katie, he had just sweat everywhere.
Yes.
But I mean, it's hot. It's hot. Here's the thing is that I look for any reason to wear hoodies.
Yeah.
That's true.
Any reason. I will wear an oversized hoodie any day of the week. If I'm a head coach, I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm not wearing a polo.
Are you a visor head coach, though?
No. Absolutely not. No,
So-
never.
and
Over
then,
my dead body.
Of course, Notre Dame lost, and then Florida lost. Notre Dame, I bought back into him, and I believed in him. I picked them to beat Cincinnati, and Cincinnati did a great job. I'll talk about them in a minute of proving that wrong. Notre Dame feels like a team that is in transition now. Like, now that they've lost, you really don't need to play the Jack Cohn card anymore. Like, you got Drew Pine. You got this guy who...
They look so much better with him.
They look so much better for a second, but then he makes a lot of mistakes too.
Yeah,
but
but-
he's the future. Go ahead and roll with him. They feel like a team that now that they've lost could lose like 3 or 4.
So last week we talked about this when we did the podcast, the Quickie podcast in the morning in Chicago, is that, we were quick to, and maybe I can just speak for myself. I was quick to bury Notre Dame, and then last week I was quick to jump back on them. Now we're seeing that Wisconsin is just not good. So them beating Wisconsin the way that they did, at the time it was like, wow, maybe, oh no.
Go ahead. You just inspired another quick take.
Well, I think that, and I said last week, and I said, if I'm looking at who the 4th best team in the country potentially is, maybe you slide Notre Dame in after last week. Obviously, that's not true. But I've also talked my way in and out of Cincinnati and Notre Dame all year. Like Jack went and found it. Like I went, and I mean, what day? That was before the season even started. I was like, I was, again, had a little bit too much high noon. I said, Cincinnati's going to go undefeated. You heard it here first. And now that take doesn't look crazy. But I also said last week I thought Notre Dame would win this game. So this game to me was just all over the place. My brain didn't know which way to go.
And then those 3 top 10 teams that lost, and then of course Florida lost in a tough game to Kentucky.
You were right. Congratulations.
Boy, you talk about somebody that was right on a take. I got on that Kentucky take early.
Yes, you did. We also need to give credit to
congrats.
our friend Kelly in Vegas.
Oh yeah, that woman's a saint. She hit a bomb parlay last week with like plus 2,500. This week it was plus 3,500.
She's the hottest gambler on the planet.
I put 20.
That's insane.
25
to 1 and then a 35 to
I
1.
put $20 on it just to
Shout
stick
out her.
around, just to say, if she did it once, she'll do it again.
Yeah.
$720.
Oh yeah, no, she saved my entire day. And I only took her parlay against the spread. I didn't even take the money line
I took
parlay.
the money line parlay.
Shout out to her. I mean, but also Brandon, you have been correct on Kentucky.
Yeah,
I will give you credit for that.
They're just really tough, by the way. We're gonna beat them in a few weeks. Anyway,
Brandon,
awesome.
can I give you a
that
piece of
home?
advice?
we're not bad.
Can I give you a piece
We're
of
not
advice?
bad.
Can I give you a piece of
Are we
advice?
bad?
Wait.
Brandon,
Wait.
can I give you a piece of
What?
advice? Do not be Arkansas right now, because what you're doing
No,
right
no.
now.
I believed it
No.
before. We're not bad. We have
What
a
you're
fluke
doing
loss
right
to
now-
LSU and a fluke loss to Memphis.
Okay,
Excuses are like assholes.
That's not an excuse.
What?
It's not an excuse. Yeah.
It's not
what
excuse,
you're saying,
but-
what you're doing right now, and again, you should be happy that you won. I would not take a 4-point game to A&M as you're going to beat.
I don't care what you think of A&M. You're a sad Aggie fan right now, and that's fine. We just walked into Kyle Field and won. That's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's also...
It's funny that you think you have such a great team. You've almost fired Mike Leach.
I fired him 3 times.
He almost fired him today.
Yeah, but that shows. But I mean, that's the
I
college football
barely
thing.
even got the phone out of my pocket to fire him today.
Yeah, that's true.
But you said you're like, I'm going to fire Mike Leach.
I may today.
I may fire Mike Leach.
You expect great things from your coaches.
But
which
I
is
just
great.
signed him to a contract extension at the end of the game tonight.
I was noticing, does he ever look happy on the sideline?
He never looks happy or sad.
He just looks miserable and doesn't
No,
want
he's
to be
always
there.
He just looks like he's standing in line for something.
He's always
he doesn't
standing
look
in
like he's coaching a football game. He looks like he's standing in line for the movies. And he doesn't even want to see the movie. He's just like, all right, well, there's a new Star Wars.
You know who's like that? Big T.
Big T's the most miserable human being on.
I know,
earth.
but
Although he was very high on them today.
I'm going to tell y'all right now. Right, this week will be the debut of Delusional Tennessee Fan on the podcast because I guarantee you that guy and they look good. They
That's
did
Missouri.
look good.
We tweeted out Ohio
you're wrong,
State scored
Missouri.
45 points
Yeah.
in the first half, and then enter 45. And Big T responded, "I call that a hyple
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
scored it." Yeah,
All right.
Big T.
Brandon, we spent a lot of time on the road for college football. We spent a lot of time here in this nice gambling house in lovely New Jersey. And there are a lot of great things about it, but you know what we don't get when we're on the road?
Good food.
Healthy, good
Yeah.
food.
We eat like trash bags.
We treat our body like actual trash inside
Somehow
this
we
place.
got lucky and had decent Chinese food today.
And Chinese food is,
it's not healthy, no.
No, especially what we ordered.
But we absolutely treat ourselves like dumpsters.
The dumpsters, the snack area out here is just absolute trash.
There's too much snack.
It's all delicious, don't get us wrong. But you know what's really nice? That throughout the week, even though I know I'm going to be on the road, I know I'm going to be here and we're going to be eating like shit, that during the week I know that HelloFresh is going to help me out.
Going to save you.
Because it's going to give me the best ingredients.
Fresh ingredients.
The best tasting food. I get to pick how healthy I want to be.
And easy to make.
And easy to make. You know, we say this all the time. Every ingredient is measured out perfectly. You don't have to go to the store and buy multiple things, but it's all so delicious. And if there's a week where I want to be, maybe a little bit fatter, I can have maybe the cheeseburger meal. If I want to be super healthy, they've got all those options. You have a family. How many kids do you have? Joey said 6.
I have 4 kids.
Oh, I know, but Joey said 6, so that's where we're gonna go. You can do it for your family. You can select how many meals a week that you want, and here's the basic bitch coming out.
Mm-hmm.
The fall menus are coming, and they've got pumpkin cinnamon rolls.
Oh boy, you're such a basic pumpkin bitch.
I love pumpkin spice. I don't even care. Rosé, pumpkin spice. I'm totally
never gotten
basic.
into the pumpkin.
Oh,
I'm sure they got all sorts of pumpkins.
It is so good, but they have family-friendly meals. You get to pick your own menu every single week. If you need to skip a week, you can skip it, put it on hold. You don't pay. It really is truly one of the best ad deals that we have. I pay for it every single week out of my own pocket because I love it so much. And right now, we're giving you a lot of free meals. Free meals are a good thing. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker14 and use the code Walker14 to up to 14 free meals, including free shipping, which technically is actually like 28 free meals because everything comes with 2 portion sizes.
Yeah.
So you're getting, if you live by yourself and you're cooking for yourself, you get 2 meals out of it.
That's 2 weeks of free meals.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
And it's delicious.
That's kind
homemade.
of a bad idea by HelloFresh.
Homemade. And I've said this, you can trick people. If you don't want people to know and you want people to think that you're a great chef, just throw the directions away and they'll think that you made this delicious meal all by yourself. But really it is HelloFresh. Again, HelloFresh.com/Walker14. 14 free meals, including free shipping. America's #1 meal kit.
To me, this day was a little bit about chaos, but today, this Saturday, October
2nd.
October 2nd, 2021.
It's October 3rd now, but
was about one thing. And it was about 2 contenders separating themselves from everybody else. Because you can look at this, you can look at the top 25 and rank them 1 through 25. You can look at the top 4, rank them 1 through 4. But really, we got 1, 2, and then a gigantic gap right now. Because you had 2 pretenders, 2 fakes, 2 phonies, 2 frauds, Ole Miss and Arkansas, going on the road to play Alabama and Georgia. 2 teams that have been there. Alabama, a 14.5-point favorite. Georgia was down 16.5-point favorite when the game started. And neither game was ever close. Arkansas could have stayed out there for 2.5 weeks. They weren't going to score on Georgia. The quarterback wasn't good enough. The running back wasn't good enough. The offensive line wasn't good enough. Nothing was good enough. That Georgia defense has now shut out two SEC opponents in a row. Vanderbilt, who's awful, and then Alabama just comes out against an Ole Miss team. Lane Kiffin, by the way. Lane Kiffin, right
Put
before
his
the game.
foot in his mouth.
Lane Kiffin, right? Oh, get your popcorn ready, and then called the pussiest game I have ever seen a coach call. He didn't want to throw it past the first down mark. He was awful. Anyway, Ole Miss fake, Arkansas fake, Georgia and Alabama very, very real, and it's hard. I won't say that. It's easy to imagine a world where these two teams play in Atlanta for the SEC championship and then play again.
Oh, it's pretty easy to imagine.
That is easy.
Well, especially like you said, with all the other teams losing.
Let's say whoever wins that game, if they both go undefeated, and Auburn has just scored a touchdown, if they go undefeated, right, and it's 12-0 against 12-0, and Alabama beats Georgia, then Alabama will be the number 1 seed for sure. Georgia will probably be the number 4 seed.
Probably
They might make
4.
them number
Well,
3.
three,
They might make them the 3 just so they wouldn't have to have an immediate rematch. But I could see those two teams playing again. And right now,
It's not a crazy thing to think about because of the way, especially because of the way everything else is playing out.
who do you think? Just right now, who do you think's better, Alabama or Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay, I
Ooh, I
was
said that.
asking
Ooh.
Casey.
Very quick. Sorry.
I think Georgia's better.
I mean,
but I
yeah,
can see an
but
argument for
I-
Alabama because Alabama has more dynamic playmakers
Yes.
and a better quarterback.
I think Bryce Young is the difference in that argument.
He's good. I don't think he's great.
I think he's the Heisman
yeah,
leader
but-
right now.
Yeah,
By
by
default.
default. I think by default. I don't think there's
I
anybody
mean,
really.
he had pretty good numbers
He's
today.
fine. Like he's fine.
I mean, what are his season?
I disagree.
What, you think he's better than fine?
Yes.
Yeah, much better than
Much
fine.
better. What are
No,
his,
it was
what are his
very,
season
very-
Well, that's
stats
why
right
we
now?
have Mike, so we can disagree.
I
Yeah.
got
I
it.
mean-
I'll pull it up.
Fine. I wouldn't say that Bryce Young is fine.
I don't know. It's just they just keep coming at you and coming at you. They got
Like
they
it's
got
also
so
you're
many
comparing him to
playmakers.
Mac Jones and Tua and
Yeah,
Hurts.
it's
So
fair
it's like
enough.
he has for him.
He definitely is the best. I think he's the best.
numbers are up
big
there
time,
with
big
those-
school quarterback in the
those
country so
guys.
far. I got another quarterback that we got to talk about later.
Mac Jones was so good. Tua was so good.
I mean, I think his
He's a
numbers
little-
right now are comparable to them, though. Through
I
I
through
don't think
5
the numbers
weeks.
are.
I don't think they are, no.
No.
Right now,
But he also doesn't have the weapons they had.
Yeah.
He's got better weapons than most people in the country, but they had supernatural weapons.
I mean, what are his like? I mean,
like
they
Tua was
can't-
literally thrown to
Right.
4 first-round picks.
right.
He has 1,100 yards. He has 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR of
pretty fucking
88.3.
good.
It's pretty fucking good.
Pretty
That's
fucking
not
good.
fine.
But if
It
we're
is not
looking
fine.
at if we're looking at total QBR, right? We're looking at Tua, who had a 94.8 QBR in 2019.
But we're talking about just through 5 weeks.
I know, yeah, but this is like an average stat. And then Mac Jones had a 96.1, which were both 1 and 2. And now we're looking at Bryce Young, who has an 88.3, which is very good, top 5 in the country.
Yeah, he's really
But
good.
he is a step down from Mac and Bryce, or Mac and
Tua.
Tua.
Makes
But
him
like, I mean,
more
it's,
than fine.
He's still the leading Heisman contender.
I know, but
But I think as far as Alabama guys go, he's been fine.
There's been no Heisman moment. There's been
Not
no like
yet. It's- but it's
wow.
early for
that
but
was awesome.
I don't, and maybe it's just
well,
because
like, what
like,
was Mac Jones' Heisman moment?
right.
I don't know.
Like,
It was just continually putting
waddling.
up 45 and 50 every week for 12 weeks. It
Yeah.
just-
But
there was
that's
And
the
that's
thing
what
is,
Bryce
like-
is doing.
Yeah, that's the like saying
Mac
it's
Jones
by
also didn't win the Heisman, by the way.
Yeah.
I know, but
So-
like he was second, and if there's
Yeah.
was no Devontae Smith, he would have won it, which is kind of a weird thing to say because he was throwing it to Devontae Smith,
Right.
but whatever.
Anyway, but this was about the contenders separating themselves. 1 and 2 have pulled away from the pack, and I think Georgia belongs with them. I personally think Georgia's a better team because
which is a fine take.
I think Georgia's defense is the best defense we've seen in some time in college football. Not just the best one this year. I think it's the best one in a while. And I think we're seeing there's more teams winning with defense this year than we've seen in a long time. Iowa's winning with only defense. Cincinnati's winning with a heavy dose of defense. Penn State is winning primarily based on defense. And Georgia is putting up huge numbers based pretty much only on their defense. They had the block punt too, and they don't let teams. They just choke you out. And they're just they got these 350-pound behemoths that run 4.5s on the defensive line. They got their defensive backs or fly the ball. Looks like there's 14 guys on the field every time they play defense.
Georgia is incredible. My question is, who's the best offense they've played?
Well,
And
so-
that's the issue.
So Clemson's not a great offense. Arkansas's okay, I guess. They're not great.
No.
So no, they haven't played a great offense.
So I'm not trying to take anything away from Georgia, but I do think when you look at Ole Miss And Ole Miss, I mean, it looked like they were going to get
Ole Miss was a fraud. Phony.
I mean, but they at least could move the ball in Alabama.
They moved the
Arkansas
ball.
could not move the ball at all, and I don't think that's because. I mean, I think it's a mixture of Arkansas just couldn't move the ball, and also Georgia's defense is that good. But I do think that, like, once they face an offense that can at least move the ball, they might struggle a little bit more.
Can we? Well, maybe. We'll
Maybe.
see.
I don't know.
We'll see. Can we talk about Ben Mentz's tribute video to Ben Mentz this morning?
The floor is yours.
I mean, this morning I wake up and on Twitter there's a video from Ben Mentz saying, it's been Ole Miss Alabama, the biggest game, and it's just him watching the video of when he got hired, and he's like, Ole Miss is gonna roll, and this might, and
No, not even that, Brandon. Not even that. It was him watching the video of Dave telling us on the college football show last year that he was hiring
And he
him.
had this like melodramatic music that sounded like we had just beaten the aliens in Independence Day. This movie score, it was wild. You tweeted about it. It's like
the music was like something you hear under an inspirational video that your like high school football coach would show
yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was one of the wildest videos I've ever seen.
And then, I mean, just straight up got embarrassed.
So I have got embarrassed. It was 42-21, but it was nowhere near that.
They could have won 84 to.
They could have won
7.
by whatever score
It was
they wanted
over.
to.
I mean, it was over.
And can we just? I know that Lane has been like this sexy coach, and everybody's fallen in love with him. He got worked.
Yep. Yeah.
He got fucking worked.
That was a tough.
Saban.
That was a tough.
But all of his assistants get worked by Saban.
They do, but people maybe thought Lane was going to be different.
Yeah,
no, he got fucking destroyed.
The graphic that they put up tonight of every game that his assistants have ever played, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs.
So it was just I feel like we've got strong 1 and 2,
Yep.
and then there's still going to be chaos behind them. And I look at the schedule like I don't know who's beating Georgia. I don't know. Alabama's got a tougher road, but
I can tell you it's not going to be next week.
So Alabama's, they got A&M, they got Mississippi State, they got Arkansas, and these are not great teams. And then they got LSU, not great teams. So but it's tougher than what Georgia has. Georgia's got Florida, Kentucky, and not much else.
Will Rogers is the only SEC quarterback with a 400-yard, 3-touchdown passing performance this season, and he has 2 of them.
He's been really good, really, really fucking good. All right, so I got so many takes. I already kind of touched on this, but that loss today by Oregon was such an Oregon loss.
Yeah, you already said that.
Such an Oregon loss. So that was my third take. So
Yeah. No, I wasn't saying that.
Number 4. All right, here's a take we need to flesh out a little bit.
Okay.
It is time to throw a ton of respect on Cincinnati's name.
Yes.
Like, their win at Indiana, I thought was full of holes. I thought showed that maybe they're not all that good. And they walked into Notre Dame, and I don't care what the final score was. I don't even know what the final score was. They just handled them. They just dominated that game from start to finish. Their defense was better than Notre Dame's offense. Their offense was better than Notre Dame's defense. Whenever they needed to throw, Desmond Ridder made it, and he made it, and he looked like a fucking star doing it. I mean, this is a guy, you talk about Heisman. I mean, as far as best players in the country right now, what he did today has to be considered for it.
And there were multiple times in that game where Cincinnati maybe opened the door a little bit for Notre Dame to come back in, and and it just never happened. And Desmond Ridder was a big part of that. I mean, he was.
And they've got NFL guys on that defense. And Sauce Gardner, is that his name?
Yeah.
I love Sauce Gardner.
That's such a good name.
Anyway, they're just really good. And they walked into Notre Dame, and I don't care what you think about Notre Dame. Going into South Bend and winning and controlling the game is impressive.
It is. And I mean, we say this all the time. I mean, I think home field advantage in college really does play a big factor. And you said it about Mississippi State. Obviously, we're talking about Cincinnati. If you go to a major college with tens of thousands of people or 100,000 people and you win on the road, that's really fucking hard to do.
Really hard to do.
Especially if it's a ranked matchup.
Yeah, and Cincinnati also carried the pressure and the burden of this being the biggest game in their history of their school.
Correct.
And they walked out and just handled themselves like, all right, it's our moment. This ain't a big deal. And they just walked out.
And it was against the coach that left them for that school.
Brian Kelly once
and the defensive coordinator too.
Yeah, it was Marcus Freeman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and they just
huge game for them.
They just did it. And listen, what keeps them out of the playoff at this point?
I feel like that's the biggest storyline of this week. And, I know we'll talk about winners and losers and the shit list and the whole thing. But going into this season, and I was very staunchly on there's no way a G5 team is going to make it in the college football playoff until it's expanded. And I do think that there's still a lot of things that have to happen. I think Cincinnati is going to go undefeated now. But because of everything else that has happened, all the things we've been mentioning and all the chaos that, started early in the season, but definitely after last week and this week, this door for Cincinnati is so much open wider. How do I say that? So much further open?
Yeah, so much more open.
So much opener.
More wide open.
So
than
much
it's
opener.
ever been.
Opener.
So much opener, that's what I'm trying to say.
So much more opener.
Yeah, more opener.
More opener than I think anybody thought it would be on October 2nd.
Well, I mean, Cincinnati's just taking care of their business. So
Correct.
they've done their part, right?
Yeah.
But nobody foresaw Oklahoma just being average from week to week. Nobody saw Ohio State losing early. Nobody saw Oregon then losing after
Clemson
beating Ohio
being
State. Nobody
no
saw
good.
Clemson just falling apart and not being good.
Like I could see how we could get to the end of the season and Cincinnati be in the conversation and there'd be arguments for them. Like it's October 2nd/3rd, whatever time it is.
Right.
And Cincinnati is very much in the
I mean,
conversation.
they're going to be all right. So they'll probably be 5 this week. I'm guessing. I'm guessing
Yeah.
the pollsters will, and the pollsters don't matter as much as committee, of course. But the pollsters will have
Alabama,
Georgia
Georgia.
1-2. They'll have Iowa, Penn State 3-4 in some order, and they'll have probably Cincinnati 5.
And then what? OU 6.
And then whatever, and then but somebody's losing between Penn State and Iowa next week.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be in the top 4 in the AP. They'll be sitting there and. Now you start to look because you look at that conference now, and I don't know how bad it'll hurt them, but I mean UCF with Gus Malzahn is awful. They lost to a bad
Woof.
Navy team today, and the rest of that conference, like who's there to really? Well, Memphis lost today, So I don't know who's there.
SMU's good.
SMU is good. SMU beat TCU last week, and I like their quarterback Tanner Mordecai.
Houston is also pretty good.
Yeah, they went and beat the shit out of Tulsa last night.
Yeah, so they don't have.
But they don't have
Houston
to
on their schedule.
They don't have to lean that heavily on their conference because they have the road win at Indiana, which isn't great, but it's something, and then they have the road win at Notre Dame, which hopefully for them, Notre Dame goes 9-3, holds up. Good. I think I'm suspicious Notre Dame goes to Virginia Tech next week and kind of repeats what happened yesterday. Yes, Katie, you have something to say.
I have a take that's gonna get me so much shit.
Do it, Katie. Let it fly.
This Notre Dame Cincinnati game stinks a lot like the FSU Notre Dame game for me.
Meaning neither one's very good?
Not to that extent. First off, yes, Cincinnati going to Notre Dame as away and winning is impressive. But just looking at look at Wisconsin today. Look at Florida State finally got their first win. So you look at that. And I know the transitive property, they're still both very good teams, but they are a lot like Penn State, the Iowa, the Florida. Yes, we know they are very talented, but we don't exactly know the extent of it. Like the Penn State win over Auburn, looking at Auburn next to LSU now, don't know how much it's holding up. I still think they're in that little middle ground.
But we'll see.
Between the 3 and 10, where they're not 1 and 2, but they're somewhere in there. So,
I mean, I do think that going back to what we've been saying this whole podcast, I mean, I think that there are 2 teams that we know are really fucking good, and then everybody else is we'll see.
We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Jack, you want to talk about any former Florida or Ohio State coach that had himself a day today?
No, I mean Urban Meyer. It's all on Twitter, every social media ever. So all you have to do is type him in. I think Urban Meyer Thursday night game in Cincinnati, stayed in Ohio.
Didn't have to do much work today. Doesn't have to work tomorrow.
Doesn't have to work tomorrow. He went to his bar in Dublin, Ohio,
Oh boy.
I guess he was hammered.
He was
And
hammered.
then
Lit,
and
as the
was
kids would say.
Letting the ladies rub up against him.
And I guess then there was an Instagram story from one of the girls.
A lot of
that
selfies.
That said something along the lines of, "Oh, who is this? He keeps flirting with me." So yeah, Urban had himself a day, and he's gonna have himself
a few days,
probably months on end, and then also on top of it, he has to deal with the 0-4 football team in the NFL, which is he said I guess the funniest part, which I think is true, that he was talking in the bar about how much he misses playing Rutgers.
You know what he's gonna have to do? He's gonna have to go home and he's gonna have to say, "Honey,
Shelly?
I'm just a little stressed It's tough out there. You know, we're 0-4. I'm trying my best. I went and had some drinks, and I'm sorry that the pictures got taken, but I really feel like if we got out of this environment, if we got somewhere sunny, like where the
West
weather
Coast.
doesn't change much and it's always nice, and maybe California,
Yeah,
somewhere
and you
like
know what
that,
Shelley's
with
gonna
palm
say?
trees.
Not those USC co-eds.
Right.
I will say he had the lights on no one's home look to him tonight, and it was very much like my dad always said, when you get drunk, you're borrowing happiness from tomorrow because you're probably going to have a hangover and you're not going to be as happy. Urban Meyer was quite literally borrowing his life happiness
Yeah.
from tomorrow.
I hope-
Shelley's going to murder him.
I hope he had a good Saturday. 'Cause
He did.
Sunday's gonna
He did.
stink.
Yeah, that's. I mean, he
And
was.
it's the ultimate Sunday scaries.
Oh,
All right.
when
so
he opens up Twitter, damn.
But that would be a hell of a way or transition for him to go to USC.
I said it's time to throw a ton of respect on Cincy's name, and I guess it's time to do the same thing for Iowa. Listen, Iowa beating Maryland isn't that big of a deal in the long run, but Iowa beating the pants off of Maryland, 51 to whatever, and just destroying them. And I keep thinking, what happens when they can't pick off 4 passes a game? But if they do it every week,
Right.
maybe they don't ever have to worry about it.
Did
Like
you
their
see-
defense is so crazy. Maybe they just have a new style of defense that's just going to force 4 turnovers a game.
Did you see what Trent tweeted about that last night?
No, what did he tweet?
Like basically every time he would get excited about Iowa winning, somebody would try to poke a hole in it. And he was like, at what point do I just say, I'm excited, my team's really good? He was like, last week it was this week it's that. Now it's like, oh, it's just Maryland. And he's right. Like we've been saying like, well, we probably don't think they're going to stay up at that point. Next week will obviously be the true test. But Iowa fans should be excited right now.
Well, of course they should, and they are excited. But I'm not saying Iowa fans should be excited. That goes without saying. I'm saying everybody else needs to look at them and say,
right.
pretty damn good.
But that's what I think Trent's whole point was
'Cause
like, what
Iowa
am I
fans
supposed
gonna
to
be
do?
excited regardless.
Right, but I'm saying like Trent was like, at what point does anybody just say, no, Iowa's just good? Like every single week, it's
I
like
think
poking a hole in the arguments.
This was a big moment for me because I didn't buy it going into Maryland. And listen, don't ever underestimate Maryland's ability to shit kick a big game for them because they like to just come out and get embarrassed. But I mean, Iowa just throttled them, just destroyed them,
It
took
was
their will.
so gross.
And Talia is. It's going to take Talia a while to get over visions of Iowa guys just picking off his passes all night. There are 2 teams in the Big Ten I am just personally not ready to crown, though, and I know you are ready to crown one of them, probably both. Michigan's 5-0, and they beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin,
Boy.
Graham Mertz is awful. I will separate that later. I'm still not ready to crown Michigan. I'm still not buying it.
You say crown,
but I
they're
did
the
say
best.
I did say Wisconsin was going to beat them. I was obviously wrong about that. That was stupid, and Michigan made me look stupid. But I'm still not able to put them up on that. I don't think they're a top 10 team in the country, and they will be this week. I also feel the same about Penn State. Penn State beat Wisconsin to start the season, and then they beat Auburn, and neither of those really means a lot to me. And then they beat Indiana tonight 24-0, but they're just
That game was so gross. So boring.
You know what this is all leading me to say? I think Ohio State is far and away the class of that conference and is going to beat the hell out of everybody they play in that league. And nobody would have thought that given the last month. That's what I think now. Michigan, listen, if they keep going 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 9-0, and I keep saying every week I don't believe in them, who gives a shit because they're making me look stupid. But we'll see. They got a tough one next week. Doesn't look tough on paper, but at Nebraska, Nebraska's dying to knock somebody off, and they're not a bad football team.
And I mean, I know we say this every week. We're not supposed to do transitive property, but they did play the same team back-to-back weeks.
With Rutgers, yeah.
And Rutgers hung in with Michigan, and then Rutgers got killed today. However, I really think Michigan is a very good football team. I don't know if Michigan and Ohio State were to play next week, I would put Michigan there just because I still have the stink of Ohio State losing to Oregon, and then obviously Oregon
You'd
lost.
have Michigan beat Ohio State?
Next week, yeah, I would.
Wow.
Next week?
Yeah.
Ohio
Where?
State would beat the fucking hell out of Michigan.
I do
next week.
agree.
Based off of what?
Based off of being a lot better football team.
But I mean, they lost to Washington, who just lost to Stanford.
No, Oregon.
Oregon, sorry.
Yeah, but
Excuse me.
they just weapons and weapons and weapons. That quarterback's going to be getting better every
And
week.
I'm not saying Ohio State is bad by any stretch, but like I just said,
Well,
maybe
you can think what you think. That's what I think.
I don't.
so.
I do not think that they are a bad football team at all. They're in fact a top 10 football team. But maybe it is the recency bias of losing to Oregon. Like I said, maybe it's the stink on it. I don't know. But every week it's like, well, Michigan's not real. And they go out and they handle their business. Yes, it was an ugly game against Rutgers, but then they went out and destroyed Wisconsin today.
Yeah.
And they look good doing it.
Speaking of Wisconsin, Graham Mertz is a bad college football player. And there was so much hope with him. So much hope.
He was crowned the Heisman winner at one
But
point last year.
ultimately, even before that, before his first game ever, they were just waiting to crown. They were waiting for him to be the next guy. He's a 5-star, and they never get 5 stars. Are we seeing that there's a reason they got this particular 5-star? Like, is there a reason the other sharks in the water didn't smell blood and go get him? Because he's it's not just him, because Wisconsin is not a product of a bad quarterback. They're a product of the fact that their offensive line, which is usually elite, is just average and probably below average. And you can't run what they want to run with a bad offensive line. You just can't do it. You can't stay ahead of the chains. Their running backs are just okay by Wisconsin standards. Malusi and Berger, they're not anywhere near the quality of running backs they usually have, and their quarterback isn't good enough. Like, they're just not very good. And it's weird to see Wisconsin not very good because they're so dependable and so consistent. But now, tough year.
They stink.
Wait, hold on. Because you're saying they stink, but then you're still rating Michigan very high
Because they killed them.
But isn't that what you're supposed to do against? Like, they did their job.
But I mean, do you think Penn State's not any good either?
I put it like the.
I think that. I don't think anybody else thinks that.
No. I think there's the Penn State, the Michigan, the Iowa, the undefeated. That's in the category.
Let me clarify. I don't think Penn State's not bad. I don't think Penn State. They'll be number 4 this week. I don't think they're the 4th best team in the country.
Do you think they'll beat Iowa?
I think they're like. No, I don't think they will.
You think Iowa will win?
I think,
know we're obviously talking about it midweek.
I think Sean Clifford against that defense is a bad matchup.
Disgusting under.
That's a bad matchup because that now
don't take it under ever again.
They
Casey.
have Jahan Dotson and he's one of the
today.
best weapons in the country, but I hate going into Kinnick. Now, one thing that's playing in Penn State's favor, they get to play in Kinnick
at 12.
At 12 instead of at night, which I would hate to go to Iowa at night.
I mean, Jack, you've been high on Michigan too. Where do you stand?
I mean, you know me. I don't like playing the games of like, oh, this team beat this team, but that team didn't beat that team. So, Michigan had a great game today. They went on the road in the Big Ten environment, and won by 21 points.
Fair.
There's not a lot more to say about that. Graham Mertz did turn it on a little bit at the end of the first half, then got injured, so that changes the game a little bit.
He had one drive.
He had two. Now, I think you look at Michigan's defense, and they have a really, really good defense. They can get to the quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best players in the country.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
So I think Michigan's a really good team. Next weekend against Ohio State would be a really, really good game. But I think there's a scenario in that situation where Ohio State wins by 30 or Michigan wins by 3. Well, I don't think there's really like a really close win for Ohio State in that situation. But Michigan's good. Like we could play these games for the whole entire episode. Michigan's good. Notre Dame's good.
All right.
And so is Cincinnati.
Casey!
Brandon.
Did you see how good I looked the other day in my maroon Peter Millar pullover?
You always look good.
Right.
You look extra good when 2 things.
You were looking at me like I was a snack.
Here's the thing, Brandon. Let me tell you 2 things. Number 1, Peter Millar. Number 2, your beard, which you've gotten rid of.
How are you holding up?
I don't like it at all.
Katie's pissed too.
Not happy.
I sent her the screenshot when you told me that you shaved your beard, and that's like we were talking about something completely different, and we just completely derailed to talk about your beard.
But let's not talk about my beard.
Let's talk about how good you look in Peter Millar.
Yes, Peter Millar. Peter Millar has the best pullovers in the game. They got the best quarter zips in the game.
QZ season, baby.
It's all comfortable. It's all great. It all looks good. We have, the Barstool Golf guys have made, so many contacts and so much great content and merch with Peter Millar. It's been fantastic. But now, if you're a college football fan, you've got every choice in the world. They've got over 160, I believe, college and universities.
Basically, they have all of them.
They have all of them.
I mean,
if you are a college football fan, you're listening to this show, your team is covered by Peter Millar, I promise.
And it's so comfortable, too. That's the thing is a lot of times you get these, like, high-priced,
right,
and they look great, but they don't feel great.
No.
This is so comfortable. You can sleep in it, which you can obviously tailgate in. You can do whatever.
Men don't sleep in our quarter zips, our long
No,
sleeves.
but they have the shirts.
Women sleep in anything. You could go to sleep in that, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah,
couldn't. I
for
can't
sure,
sleep,
for sure.
I can't sleep.
But
in
Peter
anything
Millar
while
is so
sleep-
comfortable. I could sleep on. Okay, here. How about this? How about this? If a guy wants to wear his Peter
He
Millar,
could sleep in it.
Katie and I could sleep on his chest.
Okay, all right.
It's a comfortable place to
So,
lay your
all right.
head.
Fellas, if you love a college football team and you want Casey or Katie to fall asleep on your chest, get the Peter Millar. Right?
That was a bad high five. There we go.
Where do they go? What website do they go to get it?
They would go to petermillar.com. That's MILLAR/roughness.
Yes.
petermillar.com/roughness. Brandon, you get free shipping, which everyone loves, but even better, you get a complimentary gift with every
That's
order.
Nice. That's nice.
Complimentary gift.
I bet that's beautiful.
I bet it's and also not for nothing. The girl stuff, the female stuff is great too. So if a fella wants to fall asleep on our shoulders, they can. It's very comfortable.
Oh, shoulders. Okay, we don't get to sleep on the chest.
You can sleep on
I'm too tall.
Just relax. Peter Millar. Fun part of that is they don't play next week, so we get to
Right.
see a whole season envelop with Michigan continuing to build, and they got a tricky one next week. We'll see. I just if they make me look like a fool all year, they'll make me look like a fool all
Yeah, I
year.
mean,
and
and
I
they
do
c-
think I lump Penn State in there. Penn State's been really good. I just don't think they're number 4. That's all. That's
Well, that and then we had this.
But
this
then again, who
conversation.
is? Who
That's
is?
what I was about to say. We had this conversation last week, where in Oregon at the time was still number 3, but it's like, who do you slide into 3 and 4 right now? Like confidently, which I said maybe Notre Dame should slide into number 4 after last week. That was wrong. So it's like, who do you confidently say are the 3 and 4 best
based
team?
on what's been happening and what they've accomplished, you have to say Iowa and Penn State, I believe.
But you could also like poke holes. Like, should Cincinnati be there? Like, there's a
Cincinnati as well. Yeah, you're right. So, although I think it's a pretty clean top 5, I think it's Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Penn State, Cincinnati. I think that's a pretty clean top 5.
But there were people that would argue OU too.
Why?
There would be.
That they're OU fans. There's no objective person I think that would argue over those other teams. Yeah. At least based on body of work so far.
Now next week, OU Texas. I mean,
Well-
I know TCU had a chance to cover today, but I mean Texas
is
Casey Thompson.
is they found their quarterback.
Which, by the way, he should have been starting at the beginning
kind
of
of
the
makes
season.
you wonder about why Sark. But because I guess coaches make mistakes.
Yeah,
before.
coaches make
And
mistakes.
plus, and listen, if he was basing it on practice, maybe
Yeah.
Hudson Card's just a better practicer than
Practicer.
Casey Thompson.
A more practicer.
Yeah.
Maybe he believed in him and he just like
Yeah, I mean it's simple. Practice ain't games, and some guys maybe do better in the practice environment. Some guys, when the pressure gets turned up and the lights are on, answer then, and that's what it gets them out. And Casey Thompson's been fantastic. Bijan Robinson is amazing.
Oh,
Like,
he's a beast.
They're really good. The
That
yeah, they're
game
really good.
that game next week is going to be
yeah, I think.
a very telltale
I think
sign.
by the time it kicks off, Texas is probably favored in that game, and I don't.
What's
know.
the opening line of that?
I don't think it's out yet.
I think the winner of that game is gonna be the 3rd or 4th best team in the nation.
No.
Ranked wise?
No, I don't care about
Oh.
rankings. I never have.
Well, you don't have to say it like that, like you're some sort of advanced super fan or something.
Well, I've never cared about AP poll rankings.
I mean, because they don't matter.
Well,
When's the first college football
That's
playoff ranking?
usually-
Like 6 or 7.
It's usually week 8, right?
Oops.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's end of October, early November.
Something like that. Yeah. Quick trivia question. I came up with this the
Oh.
other day.
Yeah,
My feet are freezing.
Mississippi State was the first number 1 in the college football playoff rankings ever. Who were 2, 3, and 4?
Ole Miss.
This is one. He's right.
Ole Miss.
That was close. 2 other teams quickly.
That didn't
don't get it, you
make.
don't get it?
I don't know.
Auburn was 4.
That's
Florida
correct as well.
State.
Auburn was 4.
And that's
Florida
correct.
State.
Mm-hmm.
But you looked it up.
Yep.
Auburn was
didn't.
4.
Uh,
Because they
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Auburn were 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then they played in that game where
Yes.
Quan Treadwell broke his leg going
Yes.
into the end
Yeah,
zone.
that was
Ooh.
awful.
And
so there were 3 SEC
yeah,
teams. I remember
awful.
people losing their shit about that.
yeah, and then it ended up, and then Alabama ended up, going to the playoff, and that was the year Ohio State won the national title.
That is so crazy to me. First of all, that feels like that was 20 years ago.
Speaking
that
of-
3 SEC teams.
Speaking
were
of
in that.
rankings, there's no use coming up with the top 4 right now because I think this is going to be
It's gonna play out.
a very chaotic year, and it's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. So, and yeah. Um,
I wish I had a phone charger in here.
Do you want me to
well,
go get
we can
mine?
Probably go get you one.
I'll get mine.
Do you
Katie will
mind,
go get
Katie?
you one.
Thank you.
Um,
Still steady watching this LSU Auburn game. Credit to me for not reacting.
do you think Florida fans are going to overreact to Dan Mullen
Yes.
losing in Lexington?
Yes,
I saw Kentucky coming. You know,
I know you did.
I saw Kentucky coming.
I think Florida fans are going to because Florida had so many penalties tonight.
Like they had 8 false starts alone.
It was a disgusting.
What's your offensive line coach doing? You got 8 false starts? I mean, listen, it's a road game, and shout out to the people at Commonwealth Stadium, but that's not like the Swamp. That's not like Baton Rouge. That's not Death Valley. If you're getting 8 false starts because it's too loud in Commonwealth Stadium, what are you doing? Who's coaching you? What's going on with Florida? 13 penalties, maybe even more than that.
That it was so undisciplined, and I think that's where, like, if that game, and yes, you have seen Kentucky coming. If that game was a cleaner game for Florida, and it came down to the wire like it did, and it was just Kentucky just outplayed them, then I don't think Florida fans would be as mad. But the fact that they, on paper, when you look at the penalties, beat themselves. Now, Kentucky absolutely deserves credit. I'm not saying that at all. But Florida was so messy and so bad when it came to penalties. Yeah, they're going to be mad at Dan Mullen. They're going to be like, why is our team in disarray?
That's fine. But see, Kentucky should have been ranked. And this, I know you.
115 yards of penalties.
I care about rankings to the point where it just gives me something to bitch and moan about. Like Auburn being ranked and Kentucky not being ranked is wild. Clemson being ranked this week, wild to me. But Kentucky should have been ranked. Kentucky is a tough team that runs the football, and that doesn't exist all that much in college football anymore. They make you have long drives to beat them. They don't give up big plays. They're tough up front on defense. They're tough up front on offense. And they play close games. They're built to win close games. And because of that, we look at them and say, oh, they barely beat Chattanooga. They barely beat South Carolina. They barely beat this team. Yeah, they're barely going to beat a lot of teams, just like they barely beat Florida Tonight. They're tough. They're physical. And they're really, really good. They're a top 15 team in this country. Also saw Wake Forest coming. You saw you had Miami as your surprise team, right?
I had Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Ohio State was buried too fast. That take and listen, beating Rutgers to sleep isn't really that big of an accomplishment for somebody like Ohio State. The talent difference is just too much. I still think they're quietly just getting their shit together.
I mean, yeah. You go on the road, like we play these games where it's like we don't give credit ever.
Yeah.
You go on the road as a 15-point favorite in a market that has thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions bet upon it.
Yeah.
It settles at 15 and a half points, and then you win by, they won by what, 49, 50 points? Like, that's incredibly impressive. I don't care. Like, Rutgers is a top 50, top 60 team in the country. Like, sometimes you get beat, and you get beat by a really good team.
I'm starting to. If I had to bank, if you made me bet on the playoff 4 right now, I would have Ohio State in my playoff 4. I would, and I'd probably have them like number 3.
I mean, it's not a bad take at all. It's just,
and I have no idea what.
It's going to be so interesting to see what they do with Cincinnati because
I know
it looks like they'll go 13-0.
Yeah, but every time, say yes, and you're right.
On October 3rd, it does look like that.
But it's like. When you get to that point and you say they've already put the hay in the barn, they've already got everything behind them, that's when this is craziness of college football just jumps up and bites you. It's when fucking Pitt beats West Virginia the last day of the season, 13-9.
It could happen.
It's just weird. You know who the quietest good team in the country is? Who do you think the quietest good team in the country is?
The quietest
Texas?
good
5-0, and we're not talking about them. Nobody's talking about them. They're just plugging along.
Oklahoma State.
Well, I mean, that's my team.
Yeah, but they're still.
I don't think they're that good though, unfortunately.
No, but they're 5-0, and they keep keep
we'll
winning.
see.
Yeah.
Like once they get the some real tests.
But like Oklahoma's not that good.
I know. I mean, you could see Oklahoma State. It's just like the offense kind of gives me some concern sometimes. They have a good, but I mean, if we're talking about, we see this all the time. Mike Gundy does this all the time. Like Mike Gundy, and then he finds a way to lose like Texas Tech. I know I think they've already played them.
But a team like Texas Tech.
And credit to Texas Tech today.
Oklahoma State is a bye week and then heads Texas the week after. So
there you go.
We'll find out then.
Texas has.
I will say though, I mean, going on the road to
Yeah.
beat Boise State and then beating Baylor pretty handedly,
Listen,
that's impressive.
Listen, Texas is worth keeping a major eye on because right now they're sitting there with one loss to Arkansas. Whatever, they had lost a road game to Arkansas. If they in the next 2 weeks beat Oklahoma and then beat Oklahoma State in back-to-back weeks, all of a sudden they're a firm top 10 team. And people love Texas anyway. They will be in the mix if that happens.
Marty was exaggerating a little bit today, but he did say he thinks they might be able to win the national title.
Well, he doesn't.
I mean, he stole that from
He couldn't
Ebo
name a player on the team.
Who's the most quietest or the most improved quietest unit in the nation?
Oh wow!
I love how we're just adding like "is" to everything tonight.
So you're saying somebody's defense or somebody's offense?
Yeah, like unit. Yeah, it could even
Oklahoma's
be
defense.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
Oklahoma's defense is really
Oklahoma's defense, I mean, who would have thought that?
Well, that's why I picked them
That
in
is,
the year.
I mean, credit to Brandon.
Our
He did say that.
concerns about Oklahoma right now are, one, their running game, which can't get going at all.
No.
And then two,
Spencer
Rattler just is like kind of like, and that goes to show again, like you just kind of, we were so confident, we clowned on you after Sam Howell had that game. We were so confident Spencer Rattler was going to be good. Now he's just not bad or anything, but last year he had a tough September.
You don't really trust him yet.
I don't trust him at all.
Like if you had to pick between choosing Oklahoma's offense or Oklahoma's defense right now to lean on, you're choosing their defense, which is something completely new.
I'm still picking their offense.
Really?
Yeah, because it's Lincoln Riley, Spencer Rattler. You have a lot of weapons. Their defense, like, still, like we've been fooled before.
Well, they're gonna need both to beat Texas.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
a couple of teams that have been left for dead are not that bad, and they're not gonna be ranked. One's mine. We outgained Memphis by 250, outgained LSU by 180, and lost both those games. Figured out a way to lose, but then we go to College Station and win. We could legitimately be 5-0. We're a good football team. We're gonna knock somebody off. We're fucking somebody's world up. I don't know if it's Arkansas. I don't know if it's Auburn. We're getting somebody. Probably Ole Miss.
I will give you Will
We're not
Rogers is
bad.
playing well. And maybe it's just because I'm a sad sack of shit over here, but I just really don't want you to be too high about beating A&M.
No, I already had this take. I already had this take without. If we went 2-3 and lost 25-24, I was still gonna have to take. We lost by 2, we lost by 3, and then tonight we ended up winning by 4. And the other one though isn't my team. I think Nebraska's pretty good.
Nebraska, Michigan next week is very interesting.
Nebraska is hungry as fuck. They're at home, gonna be sold out. The Nebraska game next week. The Nebraska game next week is going to be for Michigan what people thought Wisconsin was going to be. We thought it was going to be a tough environment. We thought it was going to be this. Nebraska, now, if I had to bet right, I'd probably say Michigan probably wins the game.
Yes.
But Nebraska's not a bad football team, and we all kind of thought that they were.
We buried them immediately.
And here's a
they had the week 0
The week
curse.
0 curse.
the,
Yeah.
the spotlight.
Yeah. And we think Illinois isn't that bad, and then I mean they beat Charlotte today by 10, so
And there's a glaring loss on their schedule and their resume, but there's a team in the ACC that won 52-20 today. They lost to Western Michigan, but Pitt is 4-1. Pitt has a quarterback who could be in the Heisman contention.
Where did that come from?
Right.
What? Oh,
Kenny
Kenny Pickett, last 2 years, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, both years, 13-9. Game manager, nothing sexy about that. This year, he's completing 75% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, 1 interception. Who's better than Kenny Pickett right now? It's been crazy. This guy came out of nowhere and is dominant, and I didn't see it coming. He's been at Pitt for 38 years, and apparently
honestly, it's shocking.
nobody knows that. Like when I say those numbers, you didn't know that.
I knew it was a good.
Well,
having
yeah,
a
I
good
knew
year,
I didn't know
but-
until I looked it up.
yeah.
I mean, I knew he was having a
10
good
of those
season.
touchdowns were against University of New Hampshire
I don't
and
care.
UMass.
I don't. It's still. You're still talking about a guy that played. I mean, he was playing the New Hampshires 2 years ago and the UMass 2 years ago, and he was going 13-9. Now all of a sudden, it's 19 touchdowns, 1 interception.
He's playing very well.
He's scoring 52 at Georgia Tech, who, at Georgia Tech is somewhere in North Carolina failed last week. Like it's not just
He's
he'll just roll in there and score 52.
No, he's playing very well. But to answer your question, who's playing better than him? I mean, not to continue down this, but I mean, Bryce Young is playing better than him.
Well, yeah, Bryce Young, whatever. I mean, come on. You know, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's better than
Well,
Bryce Young.
I just was answering your question.
Yeah, I mean, I could see he may get an invite to New York.
Well, it's still too early for that too.
They probably won't have anything to New York this year. It'll be
Stop
over
it.
Zoom.
I think we're
100%. No, 100%. That's a take
he's right.
I have.
He's right.
There's no way they will have a Heisman ceremony in person this year in New York City.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go to restaurants without showing a Vax card, so he's right. They're not
Broadway's
gonna,
open again.
unless they move it.
Yeah, but then they're going to close it. Nah, and too many people coming out of town. That's my take.
Damn.
October 2nd, 2021.
The Joey issue.
Oh. We do have to talk about this.
Who? Joey? Who?
Joey
What?
Molinaro?
Who?
Okay.
He's joking.
I wanted you to say I wanted you to say, the guy who does the impression.
Yeah.
You know, he's the guy who's been on this podcast the most.
I know. I love Joey. I like Joey. I'm a big fan of Joey.
Well,
I am.
I know, but maybe not after today.
But here's it was just weird. Like last week, he does this thing. He does always run impressions, and LSU treats him well, and he goes down there and he wears the LSU stuff.
And he wanted to do a bet with you with LSU Mississippi State.
And
you say
did,
no.
and I said no. And
Which is fair because you say no bets for anything.
And he has Twitter at JEAUXY Joey.
Yeah.
And whatever. So, but he's a Purdue fan and he's an LSU fan. Purdue fan and an LSU fan. But last week, LSU beat my team that I am passionate about and live and die with. Beat my team, and as soon as the fourth quarter ended, he texted me and said, "Oh, I hope you're having a good time in Chicago." Then sent me a picture of him in an LSU jersey, and I said, "Oh, okay, all right." Mark that one down.
Yeah.
And
put that one in the back burner.
He opened
on the back burner.
He opened the gates. Okay, we're at war, and so I tweeted out that why does he get to have two teams, Purdue and LSU? And this week he tweeted out a picture of him in a Purdue jersey, and I'm like, oh, look at this fucking guy right here. And
that struck a nerve, some would say.
You are
Didn't
missing.
like that.
It doesn't add to anything, but I feel like you are missing the fact that on your show you had a whole segment about.
Yeah, but it was tongue in
No,
cheek.
no,
You
no,
could tell
no.
that
It
was
was
a joke.
Oh no, 100%. Like I agree. Like you,
Yeah, I
you,
did.
you
Stoke the
can't.
flames a
Oh,
little
sure,
bit.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
How bad was it?
No, I
didn't
think it
watch
was very
sorry.
justified.
Once you start the war, you can't determine
no.
how
Hey,
the
listen.
fight goes.
No,
I
I think-
agree with
I
you
mean, it's how this
completely.
place works. Like,
Yeah, so I'm
what
here.
is it?
Listen, you ask General Patton, about those
Like
wars
in
and
college,
battles.
it's different. Like when you're pros, like you can have a team and a player. And in college, you have one
No,
team.
he's the
Here's
Joe
the thing.
Burrow of impression artists.
Did Joey know that it was tongue in cheek on your show?
I hope so. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Okay, I don't know.
It was pretty obvious. Like I even had a section in there or a spot in that clip where I said, I love Joey. He's awesome. He's fantastic. What he does.
Okay.
But anyway, and then he texts.
Oh no!
Text
No!
me
No! Before the text, tell everybody what he tweeted you in case they didn't see
He
it.
tweeted. Guy has 6 kids and he's sitting here thinking about my life. Fuck that guy or something.
Fuck off,
like that.
guy.
Fuck off, guy.
Fuck off, comma, guy.
And then he texts me and he says, I'll drop your dumb ass. He threatens me. He's like, I'll drop your dumb ass. Like, what? What's wrong with you? And whatever.
I'm gonna say there might have been a few
alcoholic beverages,
drinks
little
consumed.
Boilermakers. Whatever.
I'm assuming that, and Joey's always been very nice to me.
Nice to me too.
I'm
like
assuming
the guy. It's
I'm
just-
assuming he's gonna wake up with a little bit of the scaries.
But if we're gonna
say.
if we're gonna talk shit, we're gonna talk shit. I mean, that's just how it's gonna be. I'm not gonna stop.
That was a feud that I did not see coming.
It's
beef.
not a feud.
It's some beef.
I don't know.
I
beef.
see a Dave Portnoy show
Oh
in the future.
yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, Dan
Dave
texted.
was here.
I don't know if it will be on the Dave Portnoy show. That my
Dan,
guess is
I think
like
Dan
one-
thought it was a
I'm-
lot funnier than.
There's a one-off.
I think it was a one-off that was fun during the Saturday and
Yeah.
like was kind of weird, but then it would just kind of die.
I don't know.
All
It might die with Dave, but I don't think that it's gonna die with Joey and Brandon.
Texas is good.
I
That was
also
my
see
last
he
take.
doesn't care.
No, I don't. I
Yeah,
never,
like I've
He
seen you
cares enough
mad
to bring
about.
it up.
I've seen you mad about things. This one,
No,
like
I
you
don't think
weren't
he's mad.
ever.
I
But
never
I mean,
had beef
no,
here.
listen. I don't think you're mad. I don't think it's a head scratcher, and I don't think that's something that just goes away. Like if that happened to me,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, "What the fuck? Like what happened?" Like I would want an answer of why that happened.
Yeah, that was like me and Doug's. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
By the way, in case anyone needs an update, Auburn's about to score and go ahead.
All right. What is the score?
It's 19-17, 4 minutes left,
LSU's not good.
and Auburn it's second and goal.
They want to fire. They got
Second and goal on the 2.
LSU fans.
And nope, just short.
LSU fans got in their jollies and had fun with me this week, but they're going to want to fire Ed Orgeron soon again. Whether it's
Well, if
this
he
week or
loses
next
this
week.
game,
And also, Arizona State, UCLA starting second half. Arizona State is up 24-23.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good game. Oregon State just beat Washington a couple of minutes ago.
Oregon State is number
which
one in
is
the
so
North.
annoying.
Oregon State's not.
Touchdown Auburn.
Wait, are they?
Tootie.
Wait, are they undefeated?
I don't think so.
No, they lost
No.
to Purdue.
Yeah.
Purdue. Sorry.
All right.
That was a little cackle.
I don't know. Purdue
was
is
a-
just like.
Y'all want to fill in the blanks? What am I missing here? What is there anything
Let
in
me
this
go
Saturday
look.
that I haven't mentioned? No.
I mean, Clemson. Oh,
Florida
I know
State
what you
won.
didn't mention.
Florida State
Oh,
won. Good
God
for them.
bless.
I didn't know
Oh.
what you mentioned. Dabo's post game.
No, I thought that was fine.
No.
I think that was just like something that we thought was like.
It was
like,
just he
he said that's what he says.
Dabo's full of shit and whatever.
I've always been very pro Dabo.
Yeah.
There was a moment tonight where I was like, oh man, that sounded like shit. And it was when he was like, oh, I didn't learn anything about our team. I hope everybody out there learns something about our team. Yeah. You guys stink.
Yeah,
you
they're
should
not
have lost
very
to
good.
Boston College.
What is their schedule? I want to see what I think they're gonna finish.
Like what?
They have
Like I know.
Wake
Like
Forest soon.
obviously he's not gonna come out and be like, yeah, we suck. But like I hated the whole like it was very pompous. Like, well, I didn't learn anything, but I hope all of you out there did.
No, I think
it's
he was
like,
just saying like, oh, my team has a lot of heart.
but that fine. Say that. Don't say
But
like I
that's what
hope.
he said.
But he said I hope everyone
So
else
they're
learns something.
They just beat Boston College. They're 3-2.
And
now,
Boston
right?
College lost that game at the end of the game, by the way.
They're
Like that was Boston College fucking up.
at Syracuse, and then they're at Pitt, which will not be easy for them. Florida State at home, at Louisville, UConn, which will be the game of the year, and they got Wake
I
Forest.
mean,
at
that's
home.
not a guaranteed W anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
the way
anymore,
the,
no.
not the way the boys are
I
playing.
mean,
the boys are fucking buzzing.
boys
Buzzing.
are buzzing. I mean,
I wish I would have taken you as my lock so bad, Jack.
well, SEC.
I had it written
you
down on my
go-
paper.
If you can go into an SEC away environment, you can definitely go into an ACC away
Yeah.
environment.
Especially a big
Vanderbilt,
city,
Clemson.
a
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
city
same
like
thing.
Nashville.
Half dozen of the other.
Whole city was watching that game.
I just I want to pull up the scores and go through it just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I want to see what maybe some rapid fire takes I can fire.
Oh.
up here. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we talked about Oklahoma, but Kansas State backdooring was a lovely
Yeah,
treat
that
today.
was that was something. But
Wake Forest just snuck by. USC as kind of
USC's got
Colorado
life.
stinks.
They got legs.
Colorado
but,
stinks though.
Oh
but
God!
Oh, shout out Nevada.
going on the
Nevada.
road, beating Boise State.
UTEP's 4-1 now.
Boise's 2-3, by the way. Boise's
Yeah,
not
but
very
with
good.
3 good losses.
UCF, by the way.
Oh wait, never mind. They lost to
Yeah,
UCF.
you brought them
What
up.
am I saying?
I mean,
UCF lost to Navy. UCF was 16.5-point favorites.
you know what you just reminded me of?
What?
Army lost to Ball State.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they
Did
did.
not cover.
South Carolina beat
Coastal's
Troy.
rolling. Yeah. Just going through South Carolina.
You know who's bad
What?
that we haven't talked about because they're just a random G5 school. Butch Jones and Arkansas State are bad.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
bad.
they lost by 26 points to Georgia Southern today. Georgia Southern
Just
fired their coach.
Yeah.
And also, allowing 59 points to Georgia Southern is a hard thing to do when they're a triple option team.
Also about Tulsa. Tulsa's kind of fallen off. They lost to
Crazy.
Houston.
They're like the best
They're 1-4 now.
1-4 team like ever. But I can't say that anymore because they lost 42-3.
Shout out to Baylor, too, because Baylor was undefeated going in. No, it's fair. They were number 21. They were 4-0, and they lose by 10 points on the road. But I think they're under year 2 of Dave Aranda.
Yeah.
You got to be
And
satisfied
It's
where
almost
you are
like
there.
year 1.5 because like COVID doesn't count.
All these second-year coaches.
Iowa State took it to Kansas.
That's why I think there's going to be a lot of corrections on these second-year coaches. We came into the season and we've kind of crowned some of them. Like we put Lane Kiffin as this huge success story. He hasn't won anything yet.
Yeah, we'll
I
keep
mean,
it on.
it's one game. We can't
No.
toss. Like,
I know, but he hasn't won anything yet.
Fair.
He beat Tulane. He beat Louisville. And we put him up at number 12. They might lose to Arkansas. Like there's no guarantee they have a winning record this year.
also, watch them drop like tremendously.
No, after losing to Alabama, I think they'll go from like 12 to 17.
But I'm saying, look at Florida, who lost by a few points and didn't do anything. Whereas,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, now you feel like your season's almost
Those
lost,
teams, yeah,
which is like a hard thing to like rebound from.
that's the thing. So there's
That's
a
the
certain
test of a
level
good
of
team and coach.
pissed off when as a fan base, and Florida fans, this is probably the most pissed off they get because you lose once, all right, then you lose to Kentucky. Well,
I mean, it's over.
it's over for what we
No,
want to do.
what are we
Right.
doing?
And like,
Now you're just fighting for a better
and
bowl
when
game.
do you? At what point, if you're Dan Mullen in Florida, do you say, all right, it's time to get Anthony Richardson ready to be the guy?
I mean, they put him in tonight, and
Yeah.
it was like, we've flirted with that throughout the season. And then, like, Emory Jones against Alabama got it done to a certain degree. I mean, obviously, it came down to that 2-point conversion. But, I mean, it's like, all right, it's over with for Florida. They're not making the playoff. They're not going to make the SEC championship. Why not get ready for the future? I know, and it's so early, and I get that, and it's like, you don't want to throw in the towel. But Anthony Richardson's really good.
Yeah, he's going to be good. Now, I will say this. You ever have one of those thoughts that comes in your head and then leaves immediately?
yeah, that was it.
Well,
No.
it's also like
Just
4
flew-
a.m.
It flew away like a butterfly.
It's 12:20.
Shout out.
4 a.m.
You know who the MVP was?
It's 4 a.m. somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
It's It's 12:40.
Oh, well, I said 14.
How about that
LSU.
Bird at Texas A&M Mississippi State?
He's a
That
road
guy.
runner.
No, it wasn't a Roadrunner. They corrected
It
it
was
at
a
one
raffle.
point. They said a Roadrunner for like a
Yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah.
And you mocked me when I said this. That bird did not know where it was.
UTSA is
And I-
5-0.
I don't think that Bird gave a fuck where it
Well,
was.
no, Cons ended up saying it. He was like, that bird is probably sick. I said it had dementia. I don't think birds can get dementia. But, like, you don't have a bird. I mean, there's 105,000 people screaming. You've got the lights. You've got gigantic men running all around you. And that bird just sat on the field the entire fucking game.
That bird was badass. I like to think that bird's still sitting.
There was another one that actually like played defense in a
There was
earlier
multiple
game.
birds?
It was Bird Day?
Yeah, I have it in a text. Like, give me a second to find
People
it.
call me
Come
Bird
back.
all
By
the
way,
time.
I woke up yesterday and I looked out in my backyard.
It was
There
Temple,
were
Memphis.
30 chipmunks in my backyard.
Chipmunks?
Chipmunks. You know, we don't have chipmunks down south. They got chipmunks up here.
How do you know? What did chipmunks look like in comparison to, like, baby squirrels?
No. These were chipmunks.
Okay.
Come on. You think I'm an idiot?
Well, what about that fat squirrel? Where's he at?
It's about time.
Yeah,
It's
he's
about
coming
time.
out.
Because I'm starting to get those big fat acorns off my tree. He's going to start fattening up for the winter. I can't wait to see my fat squirrel.
There was a pigeon that played defense today.
Who did he play defense for?
It's Memphis Temple. I don't want to show on the YouTube.
It's all right.
Oh, good. That's good stuff. All right. Y'all want to transition to who won, who lost, and shit list?
Oh, LSU's about to score.
Oh, don't mess up
Lot
my
going on.
under.
Lot going on. Okay.
Don't
Sorry.
mess up
You
my
bet a lot
under.
of unders. I noticed that about you.
I hit
I'm never
unders
taking an under again.
I hit unders much better than overs.
I'm more comfortable betting an under too.
I also understand out more to me. I can I look
Yeah,
at a
me
team
too.
and I
don't
can.
know. There's got to be some sort of right brain, left brain. Where like everybody here.
I love betting unders,
Everybody
but
here is
I-
like life's too short to bet the under or bet over. I hate betting overs.
I'll tell you what, people that bet the Alabama Ole Miss over today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not pretty.
All right. So I guess we can go to who won the weekend, who lost the weekend. Oh, real quick. Next week we got Georgia, Auburn. We got OU, Texas. We got Arkansas, Ole Miss. Penn State, Iowa, which will be the game of the week. I'd say that's one. Probably OU, Texas, two. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech.
We'll be there.
Michigan, Nebraska. Alabama, Texas A&M.
Barf.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Barf.
that's gonna
Come
be-
game.
Although y'all won't.
Nope.
Y'all won't beat them. Y'all
Nope.
won't beat them.
Nope, don't even
When's
say it.
Haynes King coming back, by the way?
Mid-October last time I heard.
Mid-October, guess what? Not this week.
Well, that's October 9th is getting close to mid.
Are they
No,
going to do the
it's-
same thing
it's
that
in a couple
they do
weeks.
with Skylar Thompson, though? How they're like, no, he's not playing. He's not playing.
He's not
Last
playing.
minute, psych.
I mean, maybe they might get that witch doctor from Tuscaloosa to fly on down to College Station this week.
Oh, yeah, that guy. All right, so I guess we can start with who won the week, and we'll go clockwise around the table. I'll let Casey Smith go first. Casey Smith.
I think it's going to be a pretty chalk answer, but it's Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati won this week for more reasons than just beating Notre Dame in a primetime game, an afternoon game where everybody was watching. But it is truly, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again. Like, I think Cincinnati could have had an argument at the end of the season to be in the conversation for the playoff. We are in the third day of October, and they are solely in the conversation for the playoff. Now, I don't know if I would slide them in quite yet, but I thought that it would be kind of a toss-up going in, and now they control their own destiny, and everybody else around them is falling apart.
Katie Stats.
I agree with Casey's, but I'll also add in Stetson Bennett. Basically, everyone was like, oh, me included. I thought JT.
What just happened?
Nothing. You just like nothing.
Did I take your pick?
Yeah, it was just like I had two in my head and they both got
I
taken off
mean,
the
that
board.
that looked like that was personal, Jack.
No, it
Jeff
wasn't
looked very
personal at
pissed
all.
off.
No, it was fine. It's
I mean,
like,
the
I'm
way
not mad.
the way you threw your phone
You can
was.
pile on to Katie's take.
No, sorry, Katie. I interrupted.
Just disrespected the show.
I was say me included. When I saw JT was out, I was like, oh, right, there goes the game. Arkansas. Well, no, I thought like Arkansas can easily cover. I don't think Georgia missed a beat with JT out. So you know what? Credit to Stetson Bennett. We made fun of him all last year. He came in, did really well today.
Jack.
It's winner.
He's so mad.
Jeez.
Oh, game over. Auburn won.
Auburn beat LSU.
There's a minute 20
LSU on
left.
fourth down just threw
minute 9.
an interception.
Unders.
1 minute 9 seconds
LSU
left.
stinks.
It's
They're so lucky
24-19.
to beat us. God damn it.
Oh, I
I
should. I
want
was.
that one back.
I debated.
You need
money
Memphis back,
lining
too.
Auburn.
I don't care about Memphis because I know we got fucked there, but LSU walked around all week acting like they're
Oh, I
all
know.
hot shit. Oh, watch when we beat Auburn later this year.
Oh no.
Oh,
You know what that
I'm-
means.
Yeah, well,
You know what- do you know
I'm so back.
Do you know what that means?
What?
I beat you in our verses this week.
Yeah, you beat me. I'm 3-2 now. Jack, did you have a winner? You don't want to get one?
Oh, I'll
Jack's
just give it to
upset.
Oklahoma State.
All right, so I thought about Alabama and Georgia for separating themselves, but ultimately, who wants to hear that Alabama and Georgia is the winner of the weekend?
Yeah.
Cincinnati is obviously a great one. Stetson Bennett is one that I didn't think about. That's a good one as well. I'm ultimately going to give it, because I'm a class guy, to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Ooh.
I mean,
wow,
that's
big of you, Brandon.
That's a team that's just faced nothing.
Wow.
They faced nothing but doubters all year, and with good reason, I thought, over the first month of the season. Like, they showed weaknesses and stuff. But in a Friday night spot, and make no mistake, Friday night on the road in college football is tough. It is tough. You're off routine. The crowd's usually so amped up. They're just wasted drunk. Like, Friday nights are tough. And they went into Maryland and handled Maryland like the number 5 team should do it.
And Maryland fans were hyped. It wasn't like they were just like, like Maryland fans thought that game was in the bag.
They just made Talia Tagovailoa look like a junior high quarterback out there. I mean, they showed they earned where they are right now. Now, will they maintain it? That's another story for another time. But this week, I thought going on the road on ESPN national television and just doing what they did was super impressive. And outside of Cincinnati, who's probably won the week, and you're right, they won the week. I think
keep almost falling out of this
Iowa
chair,
warrants a mention. All right, who lost the week? We'll go in reverse order. So
Okay.
we'll let Jack go first, because I don't want anybody to steal Jack's.
Yeah, good idea. He got very upset about that.
Jack, who lost the week?
Arkansas.
I love your thoughts, and I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. Explain.
Yeah, I don't
I'd
have
like
the
to
newsletter,
subscribe to your
but
newsletter.
They were really, really high on themselves.
They were absolutely.
And it was kind of weird because they were like really high on themselves, but they were like going up against the heavyweight champion of the world, about to hit them in the fucking face, and they said, you know what, like, we're gonna go on a little victory road or victory parade. And I get it. Your social media, they want to do content, they want to do this, they want to do that, which is fine. And still, Arkansas has proven us wrong time and time again, and this doesn't really change it. But 37-0. Also, I understand you have a hard schedule, but this is SEC. Like, even like Texas, they have to go play Oklahoma, and then they have to Oklahoma, then they have to play Oklahoma State in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the same, but it's kind of similar. Like, you have to play, when you're really good, you have to play back-to-back tough games, and guess what? You did, and you got proven to be not ready for the big time yet. So, which is good for Arkansas that they're not as far off as they thought they were, but you're still really, really far off. And I think that kind of came away as like, I saw it as like a 24-17 type of game. No, it was a classic
Bloodbath.
Georgia Arkansas game.
37 was friendly. 37.
Yeah.
It could have been much, much, much worse. And they couldn't score. Katie.
I have 2. I have one, the Pac-12. I think they kind of most
one.
likely self-cannibalized. And number 2, Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Not really
I
college
like
football,
that.
but yeah.
I like that one. Those are good.
He's a definite loser of the week.
I mean, he
Poor guy.
He
Well,
doesn't.
some would say
not
he's
poor
a
guy.
winner, but overall he's a
he
loser.
might not know right now that he's the loser. He'll know tomorrow
I
when
don't-
Shelly gets a hold of him.
I don't feel bad at all.
I don't either.
No.
This pains me, and there are a lot of
Oh,
answers, but this pains me. But Texas A&M is the loser of the week, and I know that beginning of the season, I bought into the hype. I said that I thought they were going to win the national championship. Week 2, that thought died when they barely beat Colorado and Haynes King went down. Last week, it certainly died. And I know I said earlier, like, you can't hurt me. I'm not upset about that because I just knew this was going to happen. But A&M, they fired Kevin Sumlin, who I don't think it was a terrible idea, hired Jimbo Fisher, paying him $1 gazillion. And then you go out and you lose your starting quarterback, and I understand that, but you're Jimbo Fisher, and you've been there for plenty of time. You have to have a backup quarterback in the SEC. You must have somebody that you can trust. And they go out and they lose to Arkansas, and at the time, like, all right, maybe Arkansas is not that, or is pretty good. Arkansas got the shit kicked out of them today. A&M lost to Mississippi State. Credit to Mississippi State for getting it done. But A&M was in the conversation to be a national title contender, not just by me, by a lot of people in the country, and a playoff contender for sure. And they will not be in the top 25 this week. Everyone is making fun of them, and for good reason. A&M lost the week, and Aggie fans that got on to me about, and I'm going to say it, so fuck all of you. Battered Aggie syndrome, whatever. Like, put it on a plate. This is why. They were in the top 5 teams in the country, and they've lost now back-to-back, and they have fucking Alabama rolling into College Station.
Can we talk about General Patton's quote?
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick?
the quote. You want me to tell you about it?
Okay.
I'll
So
tell
I'll
you.
out on stream. Texas A&M fans have passed this down through generations, and they teach each other as they believe that General George S. Patton, I believe, is that his name?
Yes.
The greatest American general of all time,
Yes,
perhaps, said this about Texas A&M.
You want me to read it? I'll read it.
Yeah.
Give me an army of West Point graduates, and I'll win a battle. Give me a handful of Texas Aggies, and I'll win a war.
They thought that was real. They think that's real. She right now believes that's real.
Yeah, it's a .gov document.
I mean, people thought it was so real that there was a House of Representative, a Texas House of Representative, who said it in
the House.
In the
You don't have to
House.
say House of Representatives, say Texas Representative.
I mean, I fucked up.
I wanted. No.
I said it wrong. Yeah. I knew I did, but I was just continuing it.
I like
Yeah.
how you double down on it.
Right.
But he said it.
You don't say House.
What just happened?
What was that noise?
Yeah.
What's
Cody,
happening?
No, it's Cody. He's
Oh,
going.
okay.
He's taking Uber down.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was the elevator
Yeah.
dinging.
that didn't sound like a human.
By the way, you know that.
DJ is out throwing to an empty stadium.
That's
Oh,
look at,
God.
He's learning from Dabo. Look at me. Okay.
Get the fuck out of here! Really?
So, do you know that?
But he sent out that journalist too.
Mississippi State now owns the series lead over Texas A&M.
I don't care.
We've played 15 times. We've won.
I
8
do
of
not
them.
care.
You know how many teams we lead in the SEC?
All of them?
No. Maybe,
Oh, you know who has the worst record in the SEC?
Maybe Vanderbilt and you guys. I'm probably Missouri too.
Listen, I saw some loser tweet at me like, "Oh, it's such a loser thing to say you don't care after a win." Like, of course you care to a certain degree. You don't want to lose, but I don't care.
Who lost the weekend was clearly Oregon.
I care.
It was
I care a lot.
It was clearly Oregon. Oregon's number 3
yeah.
team in the country.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Well, the Pac-12, she said it, but yeah.
Oregon. Yeah, but fuck the Pac-12. This isn't about a conference. This is about Oregon. Oregon is a program that has put themselves in position to cash in so many times, and they keep failing when it matters. And how many times are you going to fool me? How many?
Oh, bless you.
How many times are you going to fool me? You know, how many times are you going to get through the tough part of your schedule and then lose to a bad Arizona State team or a decent Stanford team? Like, that's just a tough loss. And Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator, I think he missed the game today. He wasn't there because of a non-COVID illness. That's a shitty thing because he is very important. He probably won the weekend because he's going to get a head coaching job again.
Sorry, I found another loser of the weekend. I think he needs like a personal assistant.
A plaque?
No, like a service detail. But the ref threw the PI flag that sent the game into overtime for Oregon Stanford.
We should talk about that. That
Those
was an
awful
awful call.
Awful.
And Oregon fans, we'll just start the shit list off with that. That was an awful call, and like nobody ever talked about. There was no clips on Twitter. It was weird. It was
people like talked about, but there was no clips.
yeah.
There was just
People
so
talked
much
about-
going
but
on today.
It was like insane,
All right.
insanely bad.
Shit list time. Who wants to go first?
I just went first.
Yeah, well, you skipped the line. And that.
Let him do it. He got really mad when Katie stole his winner.
I thought I was kind of leading the party here.
You
He-
No,
may
no,
go.
no.
You may go. It's called an
Wow.
elevator.
Something's happening.
All right, shit list.
How good is your shit list right now? Because if you have a good walk-off shit list,
That's not. It's not.
I'm
not a walk-off.
I'm so defeated
I don't have a
that I
walk-off.
don't. I'm just so defeated.
Hi, Lane. Lane Kiffin. The poster child of the SEC. The guy everybody fell in love with. Oh, yeah. It's just fucking Lane Kiffin. When you strip away all the pizzazz and the fact that you're not playing Louisville and you're not playing Tulane, it's just Lane Kiffin. He walks into Bryant-Denny Stadium and he's going to play the master, right? And he's so good at tweaking Saban on Twitter and doing these little things to pop up the narrative and everything, and everybody's falling in love with him because his offense is so high-flying. No. This motherfucker walks to his pregame interview with, I don't know who it is. What's her name?
Jamie Erdahl.
Thank you very much. With Jamie
Friend of the
Erdahl,
program.
And he says, she asked a question, what's going to happen today? And he says, get your popcorn ready. And then he kind of throws his headphones
was
like
weird.
a mic drop. It was very weird the way he did it. Get your popcorn ready. Throws the mic and starts running off when the interview wasn't even over. Really, really standoffish, really weird, really fucked up. And then proceeded to go get his fucking pants pulled down in front of the whole country. He kept going for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 1, had no good play calls. He shriveled up when the moment got too big. He was calling plays that looked like he had never called plays before. Lane Kiffin came out in a crucial make-or-break game and fucking broke. And that is not a great team. That's not a great coach. That is a phony and a fake and a fraud, and he is on the shit list this week. Get your popcorn ready. Fuck you, you phony.
Yeah, you really can't be more of a dickhead than coming out and like being so confident that you're gonna win and then just get your absolute shit
Here's
kicked in.
some here's some of the latest from tigerdroppings.com.
Oh boy.
These are just the names or the titles of the threads. He gone. Heads up. We still control our destiny. Needed to beat Alabama either way. Do we beat Kentucky next week? Just not a good team. 7-5 at best. Here we come. Would you want Lane Kiffin over Orgeron? This was the worst coach game I've ever watched. So yeah,
Damn.
Tiger Droppings is lit right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew that. I mean, they would have done it last week if we hadn't done the work for them.
I have a shit list that's from the clouds, and I would like it on record right now that I'm not going to explain completely why. But Brandon, I think you will enjoy my shit list.
Go ahead.
I think that this person has not put A&M in a place to succeed. I'm going to put Ross Bjork on the shit list.
You talk about a fucking idiot.
I would like to say nothing else, but he is squarely on my shit list.
Not
He's
the coach you gave $100 million to lose to Mississippi State?
no, he gave
Oh,
that coach
that's
$100 million.
that's fair.
He also was at Ole Miss when all the shenanigans were going on and played like he didn't know they were going on. I just think that where the Texas A&M athletic department is right now and things that are going on, I'm going to put him on my shit list.
That's completely
bad.
fair.
Orgeron's getting fired soon.
You think tonight?
Not
Orgeron's
tonight.
getting fired. Not tonight. No. He won't make it through. He won't make it through the offseason. He'll get fired.
Bookmark it.
Who would they
They're
go
probably
and
the
get?
worst team in the West. They're probably the worst team in the SEC West.
Yeah. Because your default setting is Arkansas, but it's not true this year.
That's not true. So I think they might. I mean, they'll lose to Ole Miss. They'll lose to
Someone
Arkansas.
tweet out their full schedule.
They'll lose to they're going to lose a lot of football games.
Yeah, their next
They'll
games
lose to
it's
A&M.
Kentucky, Florida,
They're
Ole
probably-
Miss, Bama, Arkansas,
Yeah, that's brutal.
ULM, A&M.
That's
They may
brutal.
not win another game this season.
That's brutal.
They'll beat ULM.
Yeah. Sorry.
Katie, shit list?
Yeah.
I don't know who the name is, but I don't know if it's us, it's the media, it's the teams, but like hyping up Arkansas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, giving us hope that these are going to be great games. We get excited for them. And then we open up and it's just like, well, shit.
That's thinking outside the box,
I don't.
Katie.
So yeah, I think maybe that's like us or just people
So
believing.
you're putting hope on your shit list?
I don't think it's hope because I mean,
Fuck you, Hope.
it felt like fairly
No, it is.
reasonable. Like looking at last year's Ole Miss Alabama game.
Well, you got excited for two. Well, you
Yeah,
got
oh,
excited
yeah.
for two games that had spreads of 15 and 18.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like...
But
I
I
mean,
will
the Bucks
say,
knew.
I will say
But
that,
it was
like,
even further than that.
whenever Dan and Dave got to the stream today and they saw what was going on with Georgia, Arkansas, they were like, oh shit. That's what's going to happen with Ole Miss and
I
Alabama.
don't
I was
think
like,
they were because they
Oh,
put
yeah.
it in late.
Oh, I tweeted it
Put
out
it in
earlier.
live.
Yeah.
well, he said it and then he walked it back. But I mean, that's just Dave talking himself in and out of it.
Yeah. It's
But
just,
but Dave also hit
yeah, I guess he.
plus 22.
Oh, we did it live. Lucky.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have one? You already gave.
Yeah,
I
he went
gave
first.
the-
Yeah, he started us off.
The
All
ref.
right. So
Can I tell you something?
please.
I'm thankful. And I did say this on the stream at the end when we were holding the laughably big mics.
You know
Well,
you
actually-
don't have to pick those up to talk into them.
I-
right?
No, I know.
li-
We just
I
were
like
being
doing it.
dramatic.
Okay.
We were being dramatic. Well, I don't have something to say to you. I have something to ask you. Do you regret not making a bet with me this year?
Oh, he definitely does.
No,
No.
because it isn't about making my
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And we're process over results
It
here.
isn't
at
about-
Montserrat.
Okay,
I'm not
all
about
right.
making my
Okay.
podcast co-host embarrassed.
Okay.
I'm not about.
What did you
I'm
shout?
about-
What
I'm
did
about
you?
leaving it on the field. You
All
shake
right,
hands,
okay.
You go out and you.
Brandon,
you,
You
compete on the
shouted
field.
out to me.
What are you
Yes.
hollering about?
You shouted
Yes.
out to me. You're like, did we make a bet? What was the bet?
You
No,
tried
no,
to
no.
lie.
No.
You tried to
Here's
scheme.
what I'm about.
You
Here's
tried to
Are you gonna let me talk?
fugazi me.
Let
Because
me
we
talk.
know we're right. In there.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. I'm about sportsmanship. I'm
Oh,
about
get the fuck outta here.
bullshit.
Oh, really?
shaking your hand as a man.
Brandon,
Hey,
you
we
almost
have a
tore
good
your
contest.
you almost tore your ACL today.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You almost tore your ACL jumping over the couch to come behind me
tripped.
and lay.
I tripped.
Like you,
I slipped.
You.
He
listen,
has a sparkle.
Hey, I
He
will. I will.
knows.
Yeah, of course he knows. He thinks he's smarter than us.
No.
Well, I think you'll admit that. He does
No,
think he's
he
smarter
wouldn't.
than us.
Oh yeah.
He knows,
No.
not thinks, knows.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Well, yeah,
No, he
Get out
does.
of
I think he would
I,
admit
I,
that.
but here's the thing: is that credit to you for being too scared to put a bet on this game, and I'm thankful because I would have to be doing something humiliating. I'm sure.
Jumping in the Hudson River.
Well, apparently you die when you do that. I didn't know it was that big.
No.
of a
Well,
deal.
Donnie's
Yeah.
alive.
As soon as I said fine,
We
I'll do it.
wouldn't
Everyone's
like
like,
you
no,
to,
no,
though.
no, you'll die.
Whatever. I'm ready to go home.
Okay, let's go home.
All right, let's go. Unnecessary roughness.